Welcome back to the Academy, Wes. Fancy a look around?
Yeah, it looks good. We are here today with the club's global partner Remington to learn more about your role as head of the Manchester United Academy.
So it's fair to say I've got the best job in the world. I'm trying to help children as young as 9 be the best that they can be, in the hope that one day they might go on to play in our first team. We're trying to make sure that they have an amazing time and that they develop as a person as well. And so if they're not lucky enough to play in our first team, they've got all these nice skills that they can go off and use in the real world or maybe at another football club.
United's Academy has a long history of producing talented players, with an Academy graduate featuring in every United squad since 1937, which is actually the same year that Remington was established. Do you think it's important to have this sort of stat? And I think there's not many clubs out there that can, probably say that.
Yeah, so that takes us to over 4,000 games in a row. It's unrivaled. There's not a club with a record like that. It's really important for us. That history of youth development, that history of believing in young people is definitely what sets us aside, and it's so aspirational and motivational for everyone that we work with.
Yeah, and I think what's good about that is actually when you're at the academy, you understand that that is actually a fact stat. And so, for instance, my era would look up to the class of 92, and there's so many players who sort of come out around that time, so we always knew there was a chance, and I think that always settles in your head as well, that if you work hard, train hard, and maybe one day you get an opportunity to play for the first team, and that gives you great encouragement.
And I would imagine, and you'd be able to tell me if this is true or not, that it's really powerful when you're not just looking at someone 10 years ago that played in the first team, you're looking at one of your mates who's maybe only 6 months older or a year older than you, who's achieved something amazing. It makes you think, well, I can do that as well, because they're normal people, but they're doing an extraordinary thing, and it kind of gives you that extra bit of belief that at this football club, anything's possible.
Remington have just announced that they are extending their long-term partnership with United. What does this mean for the club and the academy?
You all know that football's about relationships, partnerships, teamwork. So for our football club to be able to partner with another elite organisation is incredible. But also there's a lot of synergy between the organisations as well. As an academy, what we're trying to do is help young people to express themselves, to be an authentic version of themselves, and I think Remington want people to be the best version of themselves.
Remington invites its consumers globally to have the confidence to be yourself and to use the Remington styling products to get your you on. Nick, is individuality and self-expression something you look for in spotting the next talented player?
It's definitely something we look for. I think there's lots of talented players out there, but if you're going to be the best in the biggest arena in the world, football, at Old Trafford, you've got to have character. Probably some of the things we look for in terms of character is kids that have got the self-belief and the confidence to express themselves every time they step onto the football pitch.
From an early age, do you have an idea who this will happen to more lightly, or do things surprise you along the way?
There's always surprises in youth development, but I think the player and the character of a player at 9 is really similar to how it is at the first team. So when we're looking at young players, we know we can teach technique and we know that we can work on athleticism, but when it comes to character, that's something that we need the players to arrive with.
Nick, your role at the club has always been to create amazing players, but also good people. Talk us through the development of a youngster from the early age to the first team.
So I think the most important thing is, when the players are really young with us, is they've just got to fall in love with the game, fall in love with the club, express themselves, make lots of mistakes, experiment and be creative. So by the time the boys reach the age of 18, 19, 20, their world will look just like it does in the first team.
So the club has an incredible history of breaking younger players into the first team. Can you give us a reason why that is and how important it is to the club?
The heartbeat of the football club is young players breaking into the first team. When the club was going through some of its most difficult periods, particularly after Munich, it was young players that breathed life back into the football club. At this football club, young players will always get the opportunity and the chance, like you did.